When a fire occurs, there's no time for planning. Sit down with your family today, if you haven't already, and make a detailed plan of action in case of a fire. In conjunction with your fire escape plan, here are a few fire prevention items you should install at home. Smoke detectors. They sound an alarm when a fire starts, alerting loved ones before they are trapped or overcome by smoke. Automatic fire sprinkler systems. These attack a fire in its early stages by spraying water on the area where the blaze is detected. Remember, a home fire prevention plan can save you heartbreak. This is Jamaica Magazine, and I'm Sandra Clark. It's Fire Safety Week. Stay with us as we explore that and more.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, October 23. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, is making more than $50 million available for investments in a number of projects in Jamaica. This is being done through its investment arm, IDB Invest. The disclosure was made by IDB Invest General Manager James P. Scriven on Friday in Washington, D.C. He said tourism, infrastructure, transportation, ports, roads, as well as the financial sector were the areas identified to benefit. Mr. Scriven said the funds would be made available over a few years to support key growth projects. Meanwhile, he affirmed the IDB Group's commitment to supporting investments for projects within the wider Caribbean. The Jamaica Fire Brigade, JFB, is ramping up its safety and prevention strategy in schools and children's homes across the island this week. A team from the brigade will also be in town centres to share fire safety initiatives with the general public.
We will conduct simulation exercises, especially for the farming community. We teach them alternative to burning in preparation of their lands. We will certify some as fire wardens for their community. We're going to encourage them also to set up fire escape plan. How do we get out in the event of a fire?
The brigade's acting chief fire prevention officer says the JFB's intervention is meant to protect lives, pointing out that 88 children have lost their lives in fires since 2009.
That is 88 graduations not attending, 88 weddings we won't see, 88 generations gone up in flames. We can't take this no more.
Mrs. Davis Buckle says another 6 lives have been lost since January this year. She was speaking at last Friday's launch of Fire Safety Awareness Week. The week runs from October 21 to 27 under the theme, Make We Fix It, Make Fire Safety and Our Children Our Priority. During the period, the Fire Brigade will also be inspecting homes and encouraging persons to buy and install smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. Meanwhile, CEO of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, Rosalie Gage Gray, is commending the Jamaica Fire Brigade for the training it provides to staff and wards of childcare facilities. She says it was this training that was put into action during the January fire at the Walker's Place of Safety. 2 wards died in the fire.
And I must say that if it wasn't those engagements, we would have had a much further loss there. I take this time to commend the Jamaica Fire Brigade on expanding this partnership as they embark on an island-wide assessment of all our childcare facilities.
Mrs. Gage Gray was at the launch of Fire Safety Awareness Week. She acknowledged the brave efforts of Grace Allen and Selena Reed, who received badges of honor for gallantry for helping to rescue those trapped in the fire. The CPFSA's CEO says among the 29 standards used to govern childcare facilities is one which speaks to safety and security and the need for fire certification. All of these must be in place before a home is licensed. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang is condemning the recent brutal attacks on children, calling them shameful and un-Jamaican. The minister's comment follows the discovery of the body of 14-year-old Raven Wilson on Sunday. Her body was found by residents of the Top Road community in St. Anne, where she lived. Minister Chang says he's concerned about the attacks on children and especially on young girls. The minister says he will be engaging the police high command on the way forward to address this disturbing trend. This includes the engagement of the Community Safety and Security Branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to extend its presence in these communities and thwart the violence acts against children. The National Security Minister will also be liaising with communities and social agencies to devise additional strategies to protect the nation's children. And finally, an official funeral will be accorded to the late former Member of Parliament for North East Westmoreland and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Hedley Cunningham. The service will be held on Thursday, October 25 at the Mount Carey Baptist Church in Anchovy, St. James. It will start at 11 a.m. with interment at the church cemetery. A condolence book is opened this week in the lobby of the Houses of Parliament on Duke Street in downtown Kingston. Persons who wish to sign may do so between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. daily. Mr. Cunningham was elected Member of Parliament in 1989 and served as Speaker of the House of Representatives from that year until 1993. A lawyer by profession, he began his legal career in 1967 and was appointed a member of the Privy Council of Jamaica in 1998. In 2007, he was awarded the Order of Jamaica for outstanding service in the field of law. Hedley Cunningham died on September 22. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thank you for watching.
Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness, wants to share plans with you on the development of our country. Join us for a town hall meeting at 6 p.m. on Thursday, October 25, 2018. Come share ideas with the Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Favour Williams, and the UDC Chairman, Senator Ransford Braham. We want to hear from you on Thursday, October 25 at 6 p.m. on the southern lawns of National Heroes Park. Be there.
Respecting yourself, how you carry yourself is very important. You hear me, young men? We take for granted oftentimes as men that people judge you before you even open your mouth. From they look at you, they form a perception. They make up their minds about you. So the question is, when they look at you, what do they see? Understand you might not always agree, but you can respect somebody else's view.
Respect my lad.
Respect my dad.
Yeah, man, respect.
It doesn't take anything to be respectful. And you can never tell the impact you will have just by saying, good morning, please, thank you.
Respect.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness was quite busy last week. He made statements in Parliament, and before the week ended, he was out in Trelawney twice. Here's a look.
There are more zones coming. It's quite likely that we will achieve the 30% by 2020. Quite likely, if we continue at this pace.
And
The government very soon will have to shift focus to deal now with the other kinds of roads, the arterial roads, the roads leading into rural communities that have been neglected for years.
You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Simone Wolfe. Prime Minister Andrew Holness started last week at King's House with the annual National Honours and Awards ceremony. At the Heroes Day function, the state honoured Jamaican men and women who had given stellar service to the nation. By Tuesday, the Prime Minister was in Parliament seeking extensions of the state of emergency and zone of special operation in St. James. The extensions were granted, with the state of emergency in effect until January 31, 2019, while the zone of special operation at Mount Salem continues for another 60 days. Mount Salem was the first zone declared, and its September 2017 establishment was followed by Denham Town in October the same year.
Basically, the two zones that we have are what we would call now the test cases. We have had a year and some months to study them, to see the shortfalls, to see what legislative changes need to be made. And yes, to answer the questions, there are more zones coming.
To date, social intervention in Mount Salem has resulted in a number of roads being rehabilitated, while 115 households have had their accounts regularized by the National Water Commission. Upgrades will be carried out at Mount Salem Primary and Junior High, and a new state-of-the-art infant school will be built. Before that parliamentary sitting, Mr. Holness welcomed the commissioning of solar photovoltaic panels at the office of the Prime Minister. It's a product of the NGO Solar Head of State and included a Jamaica Solar Challenge competition. Mr. Holness used Tuesday's function to announce that Jamaica was on track to achieve 30% of its electricity from renewables within 2 years. This would surpass the target of 20% by the year 2030.
We now have a combined supply of just about 120 megawatts of renewable electricity power, which is currently in our grid. And that will put us to about between 15 and 18% of electricity generation in the next 2 years. So it's quite likely that we will achieve the 30% by 2020. Quite likely, if we continue at this pace.
Wednesday saw a minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, Mike Henry, endorsing a road safety initiative to benefit 18 schools. The 4-year $1 million X Marks the Spot program will build bus bays, sidewalks, and new entrances for schools across the island.
It's taking it beyond the relativity of just crossing the street safely. It's taking it into how you integrate culture, how you integrate history, how you integrate the development, which should be so important to us all, but is not necessarily done.
Hazard Primary in Clarendon will be the first to benefit under the Road Safety Initiative. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz, was also on the road Wednesday. At the inaugural National Biodiversity Conference, he said the state would, in this financial year, advance work to have the Black River Morass, Pedro Keys, and surrounding waters declared protected areas.
With the declaration of these areas, approximately 18.1% terrestrial and 16% marine area will be under legal protection. The Ministry and the National Environment and Planning Agency are also working on the finalization of a protected areas policy for Jamaica, key management policies, beach access and management policy, and overarching protected area legislation. The Ministry and the Forestry Department have also finalized a forest policy for Jamaica, and work is ongoing on the amendments to the Forest Act.
The government very soon will have to shift focus to deal now with the other kinds of roads, the arterial roads, the roads leading into rural communities that have been neglected for years.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness's commitment to the people of Trelawney. He was in the parish to deliver 58 detached 2-bedroom units at Caenwood. The development was carried out by the NHT at a cost of $190.9 million. The units range from $11.5 to just over $12 million each.
If you look at what the NHT is doing with its interest rates, if you look at the various grant programs that are there, and the other kinds of loan initiatives, the NHT is doing every single thing possible while maintaining its financial integrity to give you the opportunity to own your own home so that you don't have to go and develop any informal housing solutions.
The Prime Minister was also in Trelawney on Thursday, this time to open the 315-suite, $110 million Excellence Oyster Bay Hotel. Mr. Holness says the development is part of the $1.7 billion that Spanish investors have pumped into the local tourism sector.
In terms of the tourism sector, about 25% of the rooms built in Jamaica are the product of Spanish investment. Jamaica is very grateful for the interest and investment coming in from Spain, not just in tourism, but in multiple sectors of the Jamaican
And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Want to know the law pertaining to renting a house? What about the procedure if you're arrested? Or what is defined as corruption? Then click on the Ministry of Justice website. It has information on every law passed in Jamaica. The House of Parliament portal also has the more recent year's pieces of legislation. The sites are easy to search and the files are downloadable. Make access to justice your business. Know your rights.
Move to the right in threes. Right turn. Move to the left in threes. Squad will retire. Left turn. About time.
This is not training for the Cadet Corps. There is a new co-curricular club in schools, the Fire Wardens Club. The Jamaica Fire Brigade has embarked on a new initiative. It involves children and is being implemented in schools across the country. The initiative is similar to that of many other school-based co-curricular programs. The only difference? This club reinforces the importance of disaster preparedness, management and restoration. The main aim is to reduce the country's susceptibility to significant damage from natural and man-made disasters.
Ready? Down. Up.
What to do if your clothes are on fire?
The program is now being implemented in schools across the country since its inception at institutions in St. Catherine in 2017.
Welcome to Great Caenwood Primary School Fire Wardens Club.
What do you feel when you feel an earthquake?
Shaking.
Yes. Things falling, yes. And you are frightened too. When I showed you the video, did you see where the road split?
Yes.
And you saw cars going down into the between them? Yes.
We initially started with a quiz competition that went on to the primary schools. So we realized that we needed something a little more tangible where we can actually have the Fire Wardens Club in the schools. The motto of the club is
Preparing today for disasters tomorrow.
we are preparing these students so that whenever there's a disaster, they will be ready to help within the schools, home, and churches. So we would teach them to be ready when there's an earthquake, so they would know the procedure, they would know the drill. We prepare them to help their schoolmates if somebody got injured and need to be moved from one place to the other. If there's a fire, we also taught them about the bucket brigade. They can get some water. You might have known that there are times when children are trapped, children are also burnt in fires. Now, if these children were taught and have some idea of what to do, the possibility that they could have helped themselves.
Within the schools, a teacher is assigned to the club and for that purpose is given the title of a superintendent.
Our students are very enthusiastic about the club and they get involved in many different activities as it pertains to knowing and disseminating information about disasters and disaster mitigation. One of the best agents for information are children, and parents respond to children. So when the children know certain things about how to manage disasters, what are some of the right things to do, they can help to inform their parents, and in turn the parents will inform the community members to respond. And in a community like Portmore, where there are so many potential disasters waiting to happen, it is important that Greater Portmore and the schools in Greater Portmore know about Fire Wardens Club and become involved in it.
Fire Wardens Clubites are also engaged in humanitarian activities, visiting children's and nursing homes.
I just love how they do things. You have to do them proper, and if you don't do them proper, sometimes you get kicked out of the club. The Fire Wardens Club is very fun and I get to do drills like fire safety, earthquake, tsunamis, and fire drill because it helps us to blow out fires. The Fire Warden Club teaches us to do drill, teach us when what to do when your clothes is on fire. Stop, drop, cover your face and roll. It's a great club to join and I love it because of fun and it's helping the community and schools to raise disaster awareness. If someone's house is being flooded out, I can help them by take them out of the house and take out the good stuff like the birth papers and the passports.
Loss of life and property as a result of natural and man-made disasters should be minimized as the Fire Wardens Club expands and more children get involved.
Why go to
No go to general, no school, no work, no nothing.
Check this out. Maybe it can help you. There's some I go.
Are you between 18 and 24? Have you dropped out of school to look for work? Improve your chances by joining the National Service Corps. We will get you trained and certified and give you the start you need. This program has been designed to equip you with the core skills and support to succeed in the world of work. Grab your opportunity now. Apply for the National Service Corps program. Get trained, get certified, get ready for work. For more information, contact a Heart Trust NTA or National Youth Service office.
The Jamaica Constabulary Force has implemented a few programs to steer youth away from crime and violence. The police want to prevent youngsters from becoming members of gangs and instead be productive members of society. Watch this.
We recognize that it was important for us to be more involved in school to create a diversion from engaging in gang activity. One of the components of our gang strategy as an organization, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, is diversion. How do we divert people away from gang? We will be targeting a number of schools, in fact 150 schools, and we will engage the student and to make presentation, not only to students, but parents as well and teachers, in terms of identify what are some of the things that they should look for in respect of students who might be drawn towards involving in gangs.
We try to let them see, let the youngsters see the negatives, the far-reaching effects of being involved in these groups, their own well-being, their own development. And that in itself should, in a real way, have them think twice as to joining these criminal groups. We should look at a set of actions as parents to guide us to seek intervention to get them away from this kind of a thing. Parents ought to look for signs such as changes in behavior, having unaccounted for valuables, dressing in a particular way, using certain language, as well as, being unaccountable for most of the time, at places where they may be hanging out with other gang members. I must hasten to say, though, that teenagers do have some of these, do exhibit some of these signs as teenagers, so we must not just take it for granted that they are members or they are inclining to be members of criminal organizations. While we see signs of behaviors in institutions, and while some of these institutions fall within certain geographic areas where the gangs are pronounced, what we actually have been seeing really is more of not necessarily gangs in schools, but persons who attend schools do from time to time get involved in the wider gang networks that are most oftentimes in these areas where these schools are from.
CTOC did presentations to approximately 1,000 principals across 6 educational regions. They also presented at 2 of our back-to-school conferences held in July, and a total of over 3,000 persons, include board chairs, bursaries, principals and teachers, deans of discipline, benefited from their special intervention. The partnership therefore continues as we seek to present to students. And later we will engage the National Parenting Support Commission as well as the National Parenting Teachers Association to address parents with this similar presentation. Almost 100 schools have been sensitized about the Police Youth Club, and currently there are 50 schools that have the active Police Youth Clubs in their schools. I must also point out that as part of the strategy to use the interventions earlier in terms of prevention, we have actually rolled out the Police Youth Club in our early childhood institutions, and we've already launched 2 of them. And so we're building out from that level all the way up. So hopefully by the time they get to primary and secondary, we have children that, our society can be proud of.
It is said that youth are likely to join gangs during their teenage years when parental significance and supervision are removed and replaced by peer influence. So it is important for us to see ourselves as a part of it. It's not left to a few people, the school system, the police, but everybody must get involved. Some of the youth that we consider to be having behavioral problem, if we can improve on their self-esteem and let them feel a sense of belonging and cause them to feel important, we'll see significant changes. So I'm saying, let's love our children, let's show our children that they are important, and let's join in the activity to engage our children and let them know that they are the future. And if we invest in them, the problem of gangs and violence will be reduced.
This is where the magazine closes for today. Send us an email and tell us your opinion of our Heritage Month Parish Travelogue series, Round the Bend. And if you missed the parishes highlighted so far, click on our YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Sandra Clark. Thank you for staying with us and take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.